There's obviously a special relationship between the government and the banks insofar as, the FDIC. We are guarantors of these banks. In terms of the big car auto manufacturers, what is your sense in terms of what the U.S. government should be doing? Should we be providing loans? Should we have some form of nationalization? Should we have a similar relationship with these car companies?
Well, you've made a very important point. We have a special relationship with the banks because we've insured the deposits, and that's confidence is important for the financial system. We don't have that relationship with the automobile. Our interest is a little bit different. Our interest is preserving jobs. In the normal course of events, we should let GM, Cerberus, Chrysler go bankrupt. It's a basic part of capitalism.
Right.
Shareholders get wiped out, the bondholders get converted into shareholders, depending on how much the value of the assets are. The bondholders will recover something, hopefully quite a bit, because they have assets, they have factories, they have trained workers, it's a going organization. Obviously, the people who are going to lose money are going to be upset,
right,
but they got a above normal return to compensate them for the risk. Otherwise, they could have owed T-bills. That's what would happen in the normal times. This is not quite normal times because they might need more capital to continue to operate. And credit markets aren't functioning normally. So we might have to put in more money to keep it operating. It might still be a good going concern if we just gave it more money. When I say gave it, in return, loan or get shares. Nothing for free.
Right.
Nothing for free. And the bondholders have to take a big hit. We're not subsidizing the bondholders. We're trying to keep a viable enterprise going.
That has implications for national security, arguably, and national economic security, and millions of others of people who work to support that industry.
That's right. Cerberus and Chrysler present a special problem because that was kind of a hedge fund that bought this from Mercedes. Many people suspected that when they bought it, they were gambling on one fact alone, the government bailout. They are, like a hedge fund, were gambling. They bought it, they hoped to restructure it, but you ask, given the history of the failure of that enterprise, you say, what were they really doing? And many people's suspicion at the time was that they would go to the U.S. government and say, you better buy out our pension fund, our legacy of health care, take that over. And, of course, if you do that, what was not a viable enterprise all of a sudden becomes viable. So the U.S. assumes a lot of the liabilities that were Chrysler's liabilities. And that was the whole deal. It wasn't because they knew how to run a car company. They were good bargainers. And they could threaten, these are tough guys, they could threaten to shut it down.
Blackmail.
Blackmail, exactly. Right. It's just like the whole thing. We had a gun pointed at our head, and that's why we gave $700 billion to the banks.
Right.
So, it's a tried and true principle, and it's worked. It seems to me that we should call their bluff. If they say we're going to shut it down, we say, okay, you go through bankruptcy, and the U.S. government might buy it temporarily to resell it.
The difference with the car company, too, I would think in terms of bankruptcy as opposed to, let's say, an airline or something like that, is that you've got products out there that would be very adversely affected by the notion of the company behind them being bankrupt. I'm not going to buy a car from a company I know is bankrupt because I don't know in 2 years am I going to be able to get a part for it.
That's an argument really for bankruptcy. Because once the firm goes bankrupt, and I like the word financially reorganized, what you do is you get rid of all those liabilities, those bondholders that you have to write those checks for billions of dollars every year, and you convert those into equity. It's called a debt for equity swap. And now, unburdened with that huge burden of debt, the company is more viable than ever before.
Right out of bankruptcy.
It goes out of bankruptcy. People have more confidence. Its future prospects look good. In fact, financial reorganization has always been a mechanism for giving somebody a fresh start.